Hello, welcome to Mary's Economics. Today's video is about the two-child limit. So it is April 2026 as I record this video, and it is the month that the two-child limit is being removed, has been removed. And because of that policy change, there's been a load of stuff on social media from armchair activists saying that they don't think the limit should be removed and that they think it's working. The policy is working. So I'm here to tell you that the policy isn't working, hasn't worked, hasn't done what it was supposed to do, unless it was supposed to drive thousands of families deeper into poverty, because that is what it achieved. So I want to address that and to provide links to the research showing that it didn't work. So before I talk about the two-child limit, I just want to clarify what it is we are talking about and to clear up some confusion that has been caused by use of the term two-child benefit cap. So lots and lots of commentators, activists and media people and politicians talked a lot about the two-child benefit cap, and that is confusing. So I'm going to unpick that and explain why. Okay. First, let me just be clear about child benefit. So child benefit is a very small amount of money, really, that that you can get for your children. If you, well, it used to be for everybody. It used to be a universal benefit. So any household with children in the UK would claim child benefit, and then they changed it so that if your income is over £60,000, you have to pay some of it back, and if your income's over £80,000, you have to pay all of it back. So it's no longer the universal provision that it was. There is no limit on the number of children that child benefit applies to in a household. If I had 5 children, I could get child benefit for each of them. So then there's the benefit cap. Okay, so the benefit cap is a different thing from the two-child limit. Regardless of whether there are children in your household or not, the benefit cap says that your total benefit income will not be allowed to go over a certain amount. Okay, so that amount does depend on where you live. There's an inside London and outside London rate, and it depends if you're a couple or a single parent, for example. But yeah, for most families, for most couple families, the benefit cap is £22,000. So you would add up the child benefit that you're getting and any other benefits that you're getting, and bearing in mind that everyone gets benefits because their circumstances legitimately entitle them to those benefits, right? And that the benefit system says, if you're in this circumstance, we will give you this amount of money. But then, having done all those calculations, they add up the total, and if it's over, as I say, £22,000, then some of it will just be taken away. That's all. It'll just be taken away. So that's the benefit cap. And child benefit is part of the total adding up of all the benefits you get when you're working out how much they're going to take off you if you are subject to the benefit cap. And again, the benefit cap is not universal either. There are exemptions. You can be exempt from the benefit cap. I'll probably do another video at some point about the benefit cap. So now on to the two-child limit, which is nothing to do with child benefit and isn't to do with the benefit cap either. So, you know, as I've said, families with an income below £60,000 can get child benefit. Child benefit isn't very much if you are relying on the state to support you financially, if you are on low income, if you're, you know, minimum wage or part-time or whatever your situation is. If you need to ask for income related benefits, what you are asking for is universal credit. When the two-child limit first came out, there were other benefits in the mix, but now it's just universal credit. So for the purposes of simplicity, I will just refer to universal credit for this video. Okay, so what the two-child limit did was say you'll only get benefits for the first 2 of your children. So if you need universal credit, if you lose your job and you need universal credit, then they look at your household And there is an amount that you get for yourself, there's an amount that you get for an adult partner if you have one living with you, and there's an amount that you get for each of your children. Oh, but it's not each of your children, it's just the first two. So if you have 5 children, you get that amount for each of the first 2 children, but not for the other 3. Like, I mean, people throw this around, and people like talk about whether the policy is a good thing or a bad thing. Look, I'm not going to get into, whether it's a good thing or not, to discourage families on very low incomes from having more than 2 children. That's what the policy was intended to do, and it hasn't done it, right? The birth rates haven't really been affected. And I'm going to read you a quote in a moment from a newspaper article, which includes a link to some data. So whatever you read on social media, from self-appointed pundits saying that they think that the policy is working and that they think it should be kept, you can be armed with the fact that it hasn't worked, okay? And the point is, an awful lot of people, they don't sit down before they have a baby and think, what if I end up on benefits? Oh gosh, what if I end up on benefits? This isn't something that people really take into account when they are considering whether or not to proceed with a pregnancy, which might have been an unexpected pregnancy, or it might have been desperately wanted and long awaited. We just don't know what people's circumstances are, but also illness, disability, bereavement, family breakdown, like all these different things go on which cause people to be triggered into a change of circumstances where they need to claim benefits. And what a rude shock to discover that there's an amount you could expect to get for each of your children. Oh, but not each of your children, just the first 2. Okay, so you could conceive of 2 houses next door to each other where there's a couple with 2 children and there's a couple with 5 children, and all the children are supposed to be deserving of the same amount of benefit, but like next door they're getting it for each of their 2 children, and here in this house you're getting it for less than half of your children, right? I'm just going to read you a little bit from an article by somebody called Torsten Bell. And when he wrote this article in April 2024, he was working for the Resolution Foundation. He doesn't work there anymore. You should look him up and see what he's doing now. I'm going to read you a quote from this article. Here we go. The policy's goal was, quote, for families on benefits to face the same financial choices about having children as families supporting themselves through work, close quote. So let's leave aside for a moment the fact that like a vast number of families who work also claim universal credit. Working poverty is a massive problem, and there are more people in poverty in households where there is low paid employment than where there is unemployment. Okay, I'll read the rest of this sentence. The target being fewer births in bigger, poorer families. There's little evidence this has happened. It's made families poorer, not smaller. People either don't know of the policy when making family decisions, or aren't on benefits before sickness, unemployment, or family breakdown changes their situation. Okay. Bell has included in that article a link to research by King's College London demonstrating that the policy did not achieve what it set out to achieve, but what it did do was make our child poverty rate even worse. And I'm very, very glad that this policy has been ended, and I really do think it should have happened sooner. I hope you found that useful. See you next time.